Welcome back. Fans of public radio's This American Life are probably familiar with our next guest, James Brawley, a writer, but probably better to call him a storyteller, performing this week at the Long Center. It's a monologue called Life in a Marital Institution. One reviewer calls it 20 years of monogamy and one terrifying, hilarious evening. Good to see you. Thanks for being here.
Yeah, thank you so much for having me.
Hey, Long Center starting tomorrow. Tell us about the show. I mean, as I told you before we started, I can't find a bad word about it. Everybody loves it.
Well, I love everybody.
Yeah. It is kind of an identifiable life in marriage, right?
Yes, and some of the themes that go through it. It's a very unusual story.
Yeah.
It starts out in a hospice. This is a true story. I'm there with my sister. I'm telling her I love her. She's saying, well, do you love me enough to trade places? Yeah. And I say, well, would you want to be in my marriage? Would you want to trade places with me? And she says in so many words, I'd rather die.
I'll take the place that I am, right?
And so the show goes on from there.
Okay, and a lot of anecdotal things that, I mean, is it that the audience can relate to this? Do you get the point where people say, yes, I know exactly what he's talking about, just nobody's expressed it that way before?
I like to think so. Yeah. I think that anybody who's in a long-term marriage, the longer they are in it, finds more, and it's harder and harder to bridge the gap sometimes. Yeah. The differences, as you become more different, as you get older. So everybody has conflicts. These conflicts happen to be extreme, and they're explored with a kind of candor that people may not be used to seeing. And humor as well.
Easy to get material? I mean, is this just your life?
Just got to go home.
Exactly.
Got to go home, open up the power book, and take notes.
Yeah, tell us how it all began. How did this originate?
I was telling stories at a place called The Moth in New York City, and they have a contest, an open mic, and I started performing 5-6-minute stories there, winning the contests, and so I saw that there was an audience for what I did, and I ultimately sold my apartment, moved into the storage unit in New York City, moved the wife and kids upstate, and began writing and developing it from there.
And stories that you tell now, is it just like, hey, you know what, this guy's just as crazy as the rest of us. This guy has the stories that we can all identify with, and maybe a step further.
Probably a step further. I think the audience can identify with me. Yeah. Given the content that I'm bringing, I'm extremely normal compared to my content. And so the audience allows me to be their guide into a world that they may not have been in before, but where they'll find the emotional stakes are the same as in their own relationships.
Your wife, Susan, the topic of many of the evening. Anybody ever feel the right to defend? Does she ever get the chance to defend herself a little bit as far as, you know, some of your quirkiness as opposed to hers?
Well, the key to making a monologue work is that you can't hammer anybody. Yeah, right. You know, if it comes off feeling like a wife bashing hammer fest, it's not any fun. And so I like to think, rightly or wrongly, that in the show I make fun as much of myself as anybody. Everybody's foibles are on display. Right,
exactly. Is it intimate as far as it's just you and the audience? Do you find that to be as effective as you anticipated?
Yeah, I love it. Yeah. I love it because I grew up. My father was a fabulous storyteller, and so it's hardwired. And what I learned as a very young kid is you can tell a complete entertainment, one person at a table on a stage. It's complete if you know how to do it well.
Yeah, I've done this show hundreds of times. What can we expect people going out? And again, 11th. Let's put the information up if I haven't done it already. 11th through the 16th, running at the Long Center at the Rollins Studio Theaters. Tickets. You can still get tickets. Hurry up though. $34 and a great show. What can people expect to come away with? And when you begin the evening, and doing this over 100 times already, as you have, probably people come away different every night. What do you hope they walk out with?
It was worth my time. Yeah. I had a great time. It was really, really funny, and no matter how bad we thought things were, it's a hell of a lot better than we thought. Let me give you a hug and a kiss, honey.
Right, with your sister saying, well, I think I'll stay where I am.
Yeah, yeah. You know, some people have easy marriages. Mine was very difficult, but I explored it in a way that I hope people can relate to.
Yeah, I think the most poignant words with love means always having to say I'm sorry, right? All right, James Brawley, hey, the show is the 11th through the 16th at the Long Center. Thanks for being here.
Thank you so much. Really appreciate it.
Quickly to get some tickets.